voluntary workouts, OTA, phase 3. This is where it's practice. We're talking about practice.
They are. It's practice.
And it's practice where offense and defense get implemented.
Yep.
They get installed.
Definitely.
They do a lot of the work now so they can hit the ground running in training camp. A lot of value in the offseason program.
There is.
So, it's voluntary. It's voluntary. Fine. I understand it's voluntary. You don't have to show up. And I support players when they choose, for whatever reason, to not show up because it is voluntary. And if you want me to be there, make it worth my while. Give me a big workout bonus. Let's go to the bargaining table. Let's make these practices mandatory and let's get something in exchange for it. But don't expect me to show up and do stuff that I'm not paid to do. Last year, there was a lot of guys led by Tom Brady, one of the biggest voices telling players, don't show up. So when they don't show up, it's still newsworthy. We're not trying to shame them into showing up. But when, for example, Kyler Murray isn't there for the Cardinals and he's got a contract issue that is still unresolved, you don't just ignore it. You say, hey, it's voluntary, but it's also significant when the quarterback of the team isn't there.
That's right. Yeah, it is significant.
We're not saying he's doing anything wrong.
No.
We're just saying what he's doing.
No, that's right. You talked about they're not paid to be there, right? I mean, okay, yeah, I hear you. But they are being paid to do everything they can to be in the best possible shape and ready to go for the season. And to me, that this is a part of it. Now, I know I don't look at it and go, oh, man, he missed a day or two, and oh, no, that's trouble or whatever. But there is importance to what you're talking about. The mental aspect of the game, getting the body moving, doing all of that, sure. There's definitely value in that. I understand guys missing. Sometimes, hey, there's family things. Sometimes, maybe, I might want a new contract, and I'm kind of talking about that, but I'm not 100% healthy yet, so let me, or not quite totally in shape yet, so let me buy myself another week or two before I show up so they don't see me that way. There's a lot of things there, but to your point, first off, there's not a lot of practice time in the NFL anymore. And this is valuable time. You can say what you want. Yeah, Tom Brady can get away with it. Well, okay, yes, you're 22. And we know he's going to practice and do the things the right way behind the scenes. For the rest of these guys, I don't know if they're quite as professional as Brady yet. And I think there's still a lot of growth with some of these young guys that I question, why are you missing OTAs? I want to go, Tom Brady was not missing OTAs in year 3. He definitely wasn't doing that. He was there, like front and center. Feet on the ground. Yes, coach. No, coach. Oh, let me write a note. You said this. So that's where I do think there's value, especially in your early years as a player in the NFL.
But the bottom line is they are voluntary.
They are. I know.
And that's the balance that the players have to strike. And again, if you want to make it worth their while, offer them money to be there or make it mandatory. And for the folks who would agree with a lot of what you said, that they should be there because they're laying the foundation to get paid later, they should be there. I mean, that's all well and good. I think there may be some folks out there, but let me here's my point.
Yeah.
Because we just finished the draft a few weeks ago. And here's the folks who I think may need to check themselves. The ones who would be very staunch, it's voluntary, quit talking about it. Why are you talking about it? It's voluntary. I bet a lot of those same folks are the ones who have no problem with the incoming draft picks being forced to do all this stuff under the guise of a job interview. It's just a job interview. It's a 3-month job interview where you got to do all this crap and you don't get paid for any of it. It's an honor and a privilege, right? So there's a subset. There's an intersection of the fans out there who will say it's voluntary, lay off them, they're starving, they don't have to be there. Oh, but it's, for the 3 months that these incoming players are expected to do all sorts of crap, it's no big deal. So the bottom line is, I think anytime you're exerting effort above and beyond what you're required to do, there should be some, you're doing it for the benefit of somebody. there should be some benefit to you beyond it's good for you.
Well, there
should be something
though.
beyond it's
well,
good
just
for
like,
you.
Well, I get it, but there is benefit. First off, they are paying you to be a part of the organization, and practice is part of football. I mean, I don't like what the offseason is not free.
But it's not required.
I understand it's not.
You get it per diem.
I get it. I get
deal.
it. I get it. Well, that's because yes, now we've got into players' rights, and there's only so many hours and all that. But damn, I mean, it's still part of the game is being, practicing and being ready to go. I mean, for Kyler Murray specifically, yes, there's no direct check that's going into his bank account right now, but he wants to make $45 million a year and be that kind of quarterback and be that guy. Well, hey, being there with your guys, maybe learning the new things in the offense, getting your, feet on the ground compared to like what you're talking about, now as compared to training camp, that might give you the head start you need to come out of the gates, play the way you want. I don't know. I just think there's still great value in all of it. And I don't think it could be replicated easy outside the building. It's a special team or group of circumstances that can really replicate that.
2 points before we get to some of the specific guys who aren't there this year. Yeah. Number one, and I'm going to forget them because as I've been sitting here, it's like, what are those 2 points again?
Right.
Here
you
they
need
are.
A pen
Number
and
one.
Write them down. Yep, go ahead.
Number one. We say this every year, but keep this in mind. Guys are going to work out anyway. You're much better off working out in the building.
Right.
Because you have insurance if you're in the building.
Right.
You drop a weight on your foot, you have some other freak injury, you get paid for the full year.
Tariq Cohen if you were on another team. Right.
Yeah, if you get injured away from work and you're Jawan James. Arbitration still pending between James and the Broncos over working out on his own. The question is, did the Broncos supervise his activities enough that they owe him as if it happened in the building? Well, if you're in the building, you never have to get to that.
Yeah,
if you're
that's
in the building, you get your money. The other point is this. Before 2011, the offseason program was a lot more lengthy, detailed, intense.
Right.
70 to 80% of the offensive and defensive playbooks were installed during the offseason program.
Definitely.
Which really allowed a lot of fine-tuning and preparation for the start of the season. What do we see now the first few weeks of the season? When do you want to catch the Patriots? You want to catch them early because Bill Belichick hasn't had a chance to really work his magic yet. Offensive line play not where it needs to be. Defense not where it needs to be. They get better as the season goes on because they don't have the same reps before week one that they used to have. And the reason that happened, plain and simple, NFL had the financial package that it was going to cram down the union's throats because the union got a great deal in 2006. The NFL was determined to turn the tables financially in 2011. So when the time came for the union to cry uncle and the union started asking for stuff that didn't cost anything, like reduced padded practices in season, reduced two-a-days in training camp, reduced off-season program, the owners just looked around and was like, does that cost us anything? No, we actually saved some money. Okay, fine. What's this cost us? You want that? It costs us nothing? Fine. You want that? It'll get you to agree and it doesn't cost us anything? Fine. And they agreed to all this stuff that makes it harder for the coaches to get their teams ready.
Yeah, harder to get the coaches ready. And listen, I think it's still not good for the players. I don't. First off, the offseason program's not that grueling. It's not. Again, it's football. You're going to have to work out. We know that. But, it's football. All right? And you're in the building at, 7:30 in the morning. Most days you're out of there by 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And you do it all again, and you're only going 4 days a week. You're not even going 5 days a week in the NFL at this point. It's usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday, or teams go Monday through Thursday, and then you get the 3-day weekend a la Chris Sims style NBC Sports. So that's where, it was never, again, yes, it's football. It's Gruden's coaching me and stuff. But I never was like, oh, man, I'm so exhausted. And the other thing I would say, mentally ready, to your point, when training camp came, I just went, I feel really good. I mean, I know he's going to add some stuff, but, man, I remember those coaching points and the things he said. And, physically, I got to think there's some correlation to injuries and things. Again, you're getting on the field. You're doing what you do. You're getting used to the movements of oh, I'm playing a DB and I'm getting the body used to those movements that are then so abruptly going to be thrown upon you, late in July, as compared to the guy who's, oh, I've worked out a little on my own and I've done some drills with my buddy who plays high school football down the street. Oh, wait, now it's time for the NFL and I got to cover Terry McLaurin, and oh my gosh, I got to turn on another gear. Oh, I pulled my hamstring. Oh, really? No, shocker. And to me, that's where I think there's value as far as the physical aspect as well to get the body ready for the NFL season.
So if I understand you correctly, it would be voluntary if you were to show up on Friday, but it also would be good for you. So maybe you should show up on Friday.
This is for football players. It's not for talking on NBC. But I do think
now,
and I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead. Make your point.
I was going to say, there is a lot of research, and I think we hit on this last year, where teams are starting to realize, and there's people in the NFL that know this already, that the teams that start to go, we're going to be on the field only for an hour, and we're not going to practice that much, and we're going to do it 4 days a week, getting ready for the Sunday game. Those teams they're starting to see are the teams that are getting hurt more on Sundays because they're not doing enough of getting the body ready for, wait, we're going to be sitting there playing football for 3.5 hours on a Sunday. They're finding the teams that actually do stay on the field. It doesn't need to be grueling the whole time, but are out there for 2+ hours, 2.5 hours, that emulates the game a little bit more. Those teams are the ones that are staying healthier as compared to the teams that are going, we're getting off our feet and we're only on the field for 40, an hour and we're out of here. And I think that's just an interesting aspect. Sorry, I just had to bring that up.
Coaches have to be very careful about what they can and can't say because baked into the CBA is the idea that coaches can say nothing to suggest that the voluntary workouts are anything but voluntary. And every once in a while you have a guy who touches that third rail, and it used to be far more prevalent and blatant than it now is. Here's Kliff Kingsbury walking through the minefield of commenting on players not present for voluntary OTAs, led by, in Arizona, quarterback Kyler Murray.
Yeah, we've talked to everybody. Everybody we knew going in to the offseason, the start of the offseason program, who was going to be here, what their schedule was like, and when we expect them back.
Would you like to see Kyler and Hollywood together out there?
Like, I've seen them together, live and in person on the other team, and it was not fun for me. So I know what it looks like. But no, I think, like I've said before, I think as a coach, you want to have these guys here all the time, but it's just not how the rules are set up, and different guys handle it different ways.
Do you anticipate Kyler being here for mandatory?
I do.
You get the feeling Kliff Kingsbury at Texas Tech saw Kyler Murray and Hollywood Brown in that second column of the
lost column
graphic.
End of the year.
But look, he handled it the right way. You have the conversations with the guys, and every once in a while you hear that there's a player who has an excused from the voluntary program. Well, they're all excused. There's no excuse necessary, but you'll hear that term, and you get the impression that they're in the loop, and we know what we're doing, and we know who's not here. But in theory, you don't have to know anything. You just don't show up. We open the door and we see who comes. It's like a shopper at a store. Who shows up? We'll see. It's voluntary to show up at the grocery store. It's voluntary to show up to work out. But they do try to talk to these guys, and they try to maintain the relationship because,
Definitely.
Look, they are going to be there in 2 months. And what does the offseason program mean? Well, look at the churn that constantly happens on these rosters. Guys are getting cut. Guys are getting cut based on what? They're getting based on it's happening based on what they see at these voluntary offseason workouts.
Oh, we don't need that guy. This guy's better than we thought. Let's get rid of him. Right? Yes.
100%. So it's even though it's voluntary, it's still very important. And I feel bad for the kid who shows up and says, "Oh, I got to be there. I got to go. I got to try hard." And then they saw me and they don't think I'm very good, and now I don't have to be there anymore because they told me to leave. So, but that just shows you it still is important to the process. That's where we try to walk through the minefield.
Yes,
voluntary,
right.
But it's still important to the process of getting ready.
Yeah, that's the point. I mean, it's part of the team building process for the 2022 season. It starts now. The lifeline of the 2022 NFL football team is being built, as we speak. So. That's where you'd like everybody there, and you start your new mantra for the year. You get everybody on the same page, camaraderie. oh, hey, here's a new wrinkle or two on defense and offense, and let's work on that a little bit and kind of go through the procedure of how we want to do that. There's all of that. But, yeah, you could tell. Kliff Kingsbury definitely walking on eggshells a little bit there. Yeah, I'm sure he's talked to Kyler Murray. But what's he supposed to do? It's a business. This is part of the business. And if Kyler Murray had a contract, he would be there. I would guarantee that if Kyler Murray had a contract, he would be there. But he doesn't. So this is his way of kind of, giving them the two middle fingers and saying, no, I'll practice on my own for now. I'm not going to give you my services until you pay me appropriately.
Well, and that's the key, too. This is the application of business leverage to try to get his contract, along with protecting himself against an injury that would happen during OTAs. And even though he would be covered this year with his regular season salary and also his fifth-year option payment, which is fully guaranteed, you potentially undermine your long-term, I don't want to call it a windfall because it's earned. Your long-term, major, generational, life-changing money is at risk if you get yourself injured during one of these off-season workouts. But again, if you're going to work out on your own, you're better off working out in the building. But it's part of the balance. I want my contract. I'll show up when I get my contract. Until then, I'm not showing up. And that's part of they're all the reasons for not being there are legitimate. But it's very legitimate to say, I want my contract and I'm not showing up and putting myself at risk until I get it.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.